main event, OSP taking on Ben Rothwell. I will tell you, interesting for a lot of reasons. Anytime a guy changes weight classes, for me, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I just like to see how that's going to play out. For OSP to move up to heavy, OSP is a big guy, but he's used to dealing with really big guys. Excuse me, don't forget, he was a college football player. He was a college football star. So to act as though he hasn't had to come face to face with some 300-pound men many times would be false. Now, Ben Rothwell's one of these rare heavyweights. It's a great big heavyweight, but he can move like a 205 pounder. So it's a little bit of a wash. It's a little bit of a yin and a yang on both of these. And before we get into the X's and O's, because who knows how that fight is actually going to play out. This isn't a situation where OSP is one of these masterful grapplers. This is largely a situation where OSP is going to have to trade with Big Ben. Good news for OSP, he's faster. And there's nothing more helpful in a fist fight than speed. But you do have a power issue with Rothwell. And, if Ben hits a guy his own size, they go down. If Ben hits a guy who's attempting to be Ben's size, but in all fairness just simply is not, they're really going to go down. I mean, look, we get it. This isn't rocket science. OSP is an interesting guy. OSP was a member of a fraternity. And I'm trying to think of where he went to school. He was a Longhorn. Was that Tennessee? Is that the Tennessee Longhorns? And he was in a fraternity. And there were certain rumors about this fraternity that was very cool and unique to the fraternity. But there were also rumors because it was a very close society and they don't like some of the stories to get out. Some of the things that they have to do. I think some guys would call it hazing. I think OSP, who was a believer in it, would call it an initiation. But there's certain things that have to take place within this fraternity. And once you graduate and move on, those rules don't ever change. You take it with you for life. So you can see where that is a true fraternity and something very special. But I asked OSP about this. I had him on my pockets. I asked him about it. I go, hey, tell me a little bit about this. Guys, he dummied up so fast. I mean, he went quiet so fast. He let me know in a very polite way. But in no uncertain terms, that's none of my business, and we are not going to go any further with this conversation. It was very interesting, which only served to make me more curious. Come on, OSP. Just tell me. Tell me what's going on at that frat. Tell me some of your secrets. I can't go back and join the frat. I'm 40 years old. You got to tell me. I want to hear some of these stories. Ben Rothwell. I've known Ben for a very long time. Only good memories with Ben. But my favorite Ben Rothwell, Chael Sonnen story. When I was starting to get media's attention, it largely came through being aggressive, being angry, and a lot of trash talk. That's how it was built. It was built as trash talk. Now, at that time in my life, I didn't believe that. I didn't believe any of those things were true. You asked me a question, I'm answering you honestly, and I had a chip on my shoulder. I was bitter and I was angry and I couldn't get my opportunity and I knew I could win the championship. I can't even get a contract with the damn organization. So I was just being me. But I gone out and done something called a Q&A. I don't know that they do these anymore. Q&As used to be so much fun though. They would take place prior to the weigh. 1 hour before the weigh-in. The crowd comes in early and then anybody in the audience can ask you a question. You stand on stage, you answer their questions. That's it. Hour later, you get off the stage. They bring the fighters on, they weigh them in. This was just part of the show. So I was doing a Q&A in Texas, and one of the pieces about my character was I had no friends. It didn't matter if you were a good guy or a bad guy. I stood alone. I hated you all, and I wanted to fight you all. The end. I didn't give a damn about weight classes or anything else. So somehow the topic of Brock Lesnar comes up when I'm doing this Q&A. And I'm burning everybody. I mean, I'm spitting fire at absolutely everybody through this microphone. But Lesnar had come up, and somebody said something. I said, man, he's got a sword tattooed on his neck. I'll shove that sword up through his neck if he gets in my way. I said, I'll take my boot off and throw it at him, and Brock better shine it up before he brings it back to me. This was just one of the things. I went off for an hour in every possible direction, on every possible weight class, on every possible guy that I could possibly set on fire. So as soon as I get off the stage, I got to walk through the curtain. Well, the curtain is where all the boys are. That's where everybody's at. The audience is over here, but all the shows go, behind the scenes is all going on behind this curtain. And I know good and well what I've done. I know I've isolated myself, and I know as soon as I walk through that curtain, I'm going to have to go sit somewhere by myself. I don't have any friends. I just made that very clear, and now everybody hates me. So I walk through that curtain, and I'm going to go find a place to sit, which isn't going to be hard to do. About 8,000 empty seats back there and about 80 people. So I walk through that curtain to go wander off by myself in this little world that I have now created. Rothwell meets me at the curtain. He comes beelining straight up to me, says, hey, man, I heard everything you just said for the last hour. Just tell me what I need to do to never be in your crosshairs. And it was the exact opposite reception that I thought I was going to get. And I remember putting my hand out and smiling. I said, Ben, I'm glad that you get it. We're good. And we have been ever since. And he was serious. He goes, you just tell me. You just tell me what I need to do. I do not, what you just said about Brock, I don't want it said about me. And I've always appreciated that from Ben. I thought it was a cool move, particularly by a guy that's a monster. I'm a middleweight. There's a guy 100 pounds bigger than me. I thought it was respectful. I thought it was cool. I've always liked Big Ben. So now these two are going to fight. Let's see what happens.